Ellie Cohanim is a former State Department deputy special envoy who came to the U.S. as an Iranian refugee, which makes your perspective on these issues very interesting. And Ellie joins me now. Ellie, good morning to you. So the president said that direct talks are taking place this weekend, and Iran is now saying that they will be indirect talks. Parse through that detail for us and if it's significant.
It's incredibly significant because President Trump is reasserting American strength and letting the Iranians know that it's the U.S. that's going to set the terms of any conversation and not the Iranians. Because in contrast, Carly, under the Biden administration, the Biden administration engage with the Iranians in endless negotiations, and it was indirect talks, and it was the Iranians who said, we will not deign to sit with the United States face to face. So again, you have President Trump back in office reasserting American strength. And I can tell you, Carly, that there's no way, this president, he's already given them a 2-month deadline. He's not going to allow the Iranians to extend talks forever and ever. And I want to also say the U.S. is bringing in tremendous amount of assets into the region right now. So certainly he's giving them a pathway to diplomacy, but he's also putting our military strength in full view and letting the Iranians know there will be consequences if they don't want to take the diplomatic route.
So your sense is that these talks will take place this
weekend? I believe it is certainly in the best interest of the Iranian regime to take up the president's offer.
Well, when it comes to the details of renegotiating the Iranian nuclear deal to make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon, what would the terms of a deal like that be?
Well, what the president, I believe, has been talking about is a full dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program and also a verifiable dismantlement. So it would look very, very different from what the Obama administration negotiated under the JCPOA and your reporting just referred to. I am confident that President Trump and his administration are looking again for full dismantlement, verifiable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when it comes to the future of the Gaza Strip, President Trump said this yesterday, that it would still be in the best interest for it to be under American control. Watch this.
I think it's something that we would be involved in, but, having a peace force like the United States there controlling and owning the Gaza Strip would be a good thing. And if you take the people, the Palestinians, and move them around to different countries, and you have plenty of countries that will do that, and you really have a freedom zone. You call it the freedom zone, a free zone, a zone where people aren't going to be killed every day. That's a hell of a place.
What about that as a real possibility?
I think it's absolutely a possibility. Carly, we've seen from the beginning that President Trump thinks out of the box, and he's sharing a bold new vision for Gaza. President Trump looks at this property, at this real estate, as he calls it, and he sees this beautiful coastal enclave that has descended into a den of terror. And in contrast, he sees a bold vision for what can be a freedom zone. I think it's a great way to look at it. And part of what the president has laid out is let all of those people in Gaza right now who are living in a war zone, in a demolition zone for the next 15 years, let everyone who wants to leave evacuate from this zone. Let the Israelis, regain security control. And then let's look at this bright tomorrow, a freedom zone. It's a bright vision for the country.
When it comes to a ceasefire deal, not a lot of positive movement on that front just yet, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump said that they are currently working on a deal. There's also reportedly a plan put forward by Egypt to release 16 Israeli hostages, 8 living and 8 dead, that Israel still needs to confirm that they've seen that plan. So where do things go from here regarding the hostages?
Well, what we do know is that this president has been supporting the Israelis to take every action that they can to help move this forward. Carly, as you know, there have been stages where we've had hostage release and then the Hamas reneged and refused to move forward. And so the Israelis then had to turn to military action. And so if there is negotiation right now, that's certainly a positive. I have seen some reporting on the Egyptian deal. I'm not sure it's a deal that the Israelis will accept because apparently it also touches on a final ending of the war, and I'm just not sure that the Israelis would accept the terms the Egyptians have put forth. But what we do know is that no one has worked harder than this president, his envoy Steve Witkoff, to get hostages out, to try to bring a Gaza ceasefire. And so every day that goes by, we know that they're working on it, whether it's in front of the cameras or behind the scenes. And I believe we're getting there. But the key is that this president is supporting the Israelis and giving them the freedom of movement to get to a victory in Gaza, to get the hostages released, and bring stability to a region.
What a blessing that would be. Ellie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, Todd, over to you.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.